You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. Not entirely unexpected, but still disappointing nonetheless. Five-star wide receiver for the class of 2025, the number one receiver in the country for 2025, Dakorien Moore, decommitted from LSU on Thursday evening. In a social media post, he mentioned he wanted to express his gratitude to Coach Kelly and the LSU community for the support. Announced that he's decommitting from LSU. He said, though, despite the decision, he is not considering any recruitment offers. Says, I'll always hold love for the entire LSU family. The culture there is truly unmatched. Thank you for all your unwavering love and support. So, Dakorien Moore, of course, out of Duncanville in Texas. And his teammate Caden Durham is signed with LSU for this year, for the class of 2024. He'll be on campus coming up in the fall. And, Moore is a guy that committed to LSU back in August amid much fanfare. Probably surprised a lot of people when he committed. And quite honestly, a lot of people sort of always felt that Dakorien Moore was probably more of a Texas lean. As a matter of fact, when Shea Dixon was here last week, so about 10 days ago, we asked him point blank, if there were any decommitment sort of rumors or threats out there. And, he mentioned Moore by name.
I think the one that everyone jumps to is going to be Dakorien Moore, and really would be the only one that I would circle. Now, Dakorien has said he's locked in, but at the same time, he's visited Ohio State a couple of times. He's dropped by Texas. That was always considered the real big threat. I've said it on this show before. I go back to the start. LSU pulled off the shocker here. Like, everyone thought he was going to Texas. His whole family, pre-committing to LSU, would be spotted in Texas gear, and they said it was a lock, and it was out of, left field to Texas folks. If there is one we're watching, it's him, but I think that's also, if you're going to sweat over it, you're just a victim of circumstance. That's what happens when you get a kid popped who was not ever expected to go to your school from an out-of-state school when, Texas and others in that area want him very badly because he is head and shoulders the best receiver in this class.
Dakorien Moore is 5'11", 175-pounder. He is a burner. He's a special player in this class. I don't think there's any denying that. So, there's a few ways that when I was kind of thinking about what I wanted to say on this topic and working through my thoughts, a couple of different things popped. And I think maybe the most important thing to note is, I don't want to downplay this. I don't want to act like, oh, that's no big deal. You're talking about a guy that is a 5-star, that, as you heard Shea Dixon say there, who's as good as anybody in this business that covers recruiting. He is head and shoulders the best receiver in college football, in this recruiting class. When you lose that guy out of your class, it's a big deal. On3 updated their recruiting rankings here recently. There were only 10 5-stars in the country, and Dakorien Moore is one of them. Now, the good news for LSU is Bryce Underwood, who's the number one player in the country, is one of them as well, and he's also committed to LSU. So, the flex of saying you had the number one quarterback, receiver, and running back in the country for 2025 is no longer something that you can tout. And I'm not going to downplay it. I'm not going to downplay this decommitment. You want a great player. You want a game changer. You want a difference maker on the offense. And LSU has produced 2 Heisman winners now since 2019. You just had the number one offense in college football this past year. And you have something to sell now to the best offensive prospects in the country. So, yes, losing Dakorien Moore's commitment is a big deal. I'm not going to undersell that. The way that I look at it, though, is this. Can you still make it up offensively? Can you function offensively without Dakorien Moore's commitment? And I kind of think of it in terms of, what if you had never gotten this commitment? You are never, as a program, going to get every player you recruit. It's just not possible. So the question really is, can you build a roster of 85 scholarship players where you have enough talent and depth at every position that you're going to be able to compete with the best teams in the country? And the answer for LSU, especially at this position, is unequivocally yes. Because we have seen great players, even great players from Louisiana, leave. I mean, at all positions, right? But I can very clearly point to the name that we're all going to think, and that's Devontae Smith from a meet who went to Alabama and won a Heisman Trophy as a wide receiver. That kid was 45 minutes from your campus, and he went to your biggest rival. That sucks. But even still, LSU offensively didn't miss a beat because you've been able to recruit at that position and churn talent through this program, especially at that position. I mean, we could look at Neighbors and Brian Thomas here most recently, 2 first-round picks. You can go back and look at Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. How about Terrace Marshall, a 5-star from Louisiana, sandwiched in between? You can go back to Odell and Jarvis. You want to keep going? Josh Reed, Michael Clayton, Devery Henderson, Dwayne Bowe, Buster Davis, Early Doucette, Ruben Randall, Terrence Tolliver. Y'all, the list is long and distinguished at that position in large part because this state pumps out skilled talent. You are never lacking for running backs and receivers and defensive backs. That's what this state produces. This state doesn't always produce great offensive linemen and quarterbacks. If they ever get to the point where they do, look out. But I think while it totally sucks that you've lost Dakorien Moore out of this class, and judging by his comment, it certainly doesn't look like he's looking back. I have no idea how big of a factor NIL is in all this, which is a very plausible question. I'm not even concerned about it. The question is, how does LSU continue to move forward? And when I look at the 25 class where Dakorien Moore is a member, LSU in the class of 25 right now has 1 wide receiver committed. And it's Teron Francis. So, that is a spot for the class of 25 now, especially with Dakorien Moore out of this class, where you are going to have to address as you move throughout the rest of this recruiting cycle for the class of 2025. Teron Francis is a 4-star. He is a highly sought-after guy. He's out of Edna Carr in New Orleans, 6'1", 196, and he's got a lot of big-time offers. So that's a kid from Louisiana who's a high 4-star that you'd be pumped to have. But he's the only wide receiver in this class. In this most recent class in 24, you signed Kylan Billiot from Louisiana, Jelani Watkins, Michael Turner. You added Xavion Thomas and C.J. Daniels from the portal. So the portal will always be a part of this as well. And remember last year, in 23, you signed Shelton Sampson, Kyle Parker. You've now seen Kai Preon and Jalen Brown already gone. But Sampson, Parker, Billiot, Watkins, Turner, Teron Francis coming in. That's 6 before you even consider who might else join 25 and what other transfers you might bring in. I guess my point is, yes, this sucks. I would have been so excited to see what Jalen Brown could have become in this program. And, of course, you want a stud like Dakorien Moore at LSU. But you've got a generational talent at quarterback as part of this class that you need to get on campus, and there's going to be no shortage of weapons for him to get the ball to while he's here for as long as he's here. So not going to downplay this decommitment, but what I will say is it's not crippling. If you had lost Bryce Underwood, per se, the most important position in organized team sports and in a generational talent where you've invested so many resources in recruiting that guy, getting his commitment, and now you got to get him to campus. If you lose that commitment, that's crippling because now you're starting over and trying to recruit a quarterback. That can set you back in this class, back to the portal. It changes the way you address that position. Receiver, you can manage it. And as LSU continues to build the 2025 class, we'll talk about it. I think we're all expecting that Dakorien Moore is going to end up at Texas. And, of course, Texas now being in the SEC sucks doubly because now you're going to have to face him like you had to face Devontae Smith. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.